So we move on to our other review of the week, and this is a season review of the 6-episode limited HBO Max series from the creator of The Wire, David Simon. We Own This City, based on the disgraced gun trace task force led by Sargent Wayne Jenkins in the Baltimore Police Department following the Freddy Gray riots in the latter half of 2016 and early 2017. There were 6 members of the force, or 5 members of the force, and one, I think, retired gentlemen who were arrested for police brutality, theft, falsifying evidence, falsifying overtime fraud, among other things. Jon Bernthal starred as Sargent Wayne Jenkins, and then Jamie Hector, who was in The Wire as Marlowe in The Wire, starred as Detective Sean Suiter, among others who pop up in this show. So, Greg, you haven't seen The Wire the whole way through, right?
That's correct. I watched the first season and I started watching the second. The second one didn't really work out.
Second season's rough. You got to head down, power through.
Yeah. And it was just, I didn't have HBO. It was like a lot of things too. It was just, at that time, and move on.
But We Own the City.
But We Own the City. I will say I love cop shows. Mm-hmm. Like, I love Hill Street Blues. Like, I love that show. That's what got me into it. I used to watch NYPD Blue way before I should have. My mom's cool. She let me watch it, and I love that show. I'm a big fan of like cop, when they're realistic cop shows, not like the stuff that kind of comes on now on network, where it's just like, I don't even know, it glorifies it. It's not that great, and it glorifies it in like one way or the other, whether it's good or bad. It's just is too much. This is like, for those out there who haven't watched Hill Street Blues, 80s show that's like probably like, I think for most people it's kind of the show for a cop show, where it does a really good job of like dealing with everything, but in a nice storytelling way. This show, like I said, The Wire I didn't watch the whole way through. We are actually planning on watching it the whole way through this summer. Mm-hmm. This show, We Own This City, is what I like to say is prestige television.
Yeah.
This is, because I had told you that, I actually, it's not that I forgot to watch it. I just had so much going on, and I was just trying to do a lot of other things. And I was like, I hope I get through it. I hope I get through it. And then you're like, oh, I can easily get through this, because this show is a fucking masterpiece of television that I don't get all the time. And I'm so happy it exists. And it was one of those things where I just like, I couldn't stop watching it. I was so enthralled by the story. And it's written by Baltimore Sun reporter. The book is based off Baltimore Sun reporter Justin Fenton's book. And it literally just came out last February 2021. So this is how quickly this was turned around into a TV show.
Yeah.
Because this story is so enthralling, and the acting so good. Like, someone's really good when Jon Bernthal makes you hate him as like, you're just like, I kind of just want to punch Justin Bernthal in the face, because he's so good at acting as this disgusting cop.
Yeah.
Even though and I've watched Jon Bernthal like do interviews. He's the coolest guy in the world. Like, he just seems super chill. And yet in this depiction of this cop that he's playing, it's just insane. And I'm not getting into the politics of police. Like, this isn't where I need to get into. This is just this city, and Baltimore's very well known for its corruption and policing and violence and crime. And they give the whole thing at the end of this or whatever. But this city is very well known for this. I went to Baltimore when I was a kid. I was probably 13 or so. We went there. And it's just we were in a good part of the city, and yet it's police sirens all night. Yeah. And it's only worse now. This to me was just, it was realistic. And I don't think it wasn't a thing where it was supposed to be like defamatory towards police. It was defamatory to a city about how you run your system, and that it really does start at the top. Yeah. Because it really did trickle down from the mayor to everyone was corrupt. This entire system was fucked from the beginning, and there was no way anything was going to work out well. And it was so well done. I mean, like, you know, obviously The Wire gets really good accolades, and I can't wait to really go back and really, you know, fully involve myself in it. I mean, this is a show. This is for me why HBO exists.
Yeah.
Is this kind of show.
I will say that The Wire taking place in the same area, and it's like obviously David Simon's comfort zone, but this being more of a true story, and from all the research that I did on this, it's you know, very factually based. It's very much, you know, there's not a lot of sensationalization. I do think that with this, it's hard to compare, you know, this to The Wire, because this is a six episode limited series, and The Wire is 5 seasons of, you know, 10 or more episodes. It's just, it like whet my appetite for The Wire, because there hasn't been, The Wire turns 20 this year.
Yep.
This is 20th anniversary of The Wire. And there really hasn't been anything like it since it came on. And this is really the first thing in that wheelhouse. It's not as good as The Wire. I would say it's kind of The Wire light. And it's like a version of like the best episode of Law and Order on steroids. And
I'll say I like Law and Order. I will say that is a show I do like.
Yeah, I mean,
I will point that out.
Sam Waterston's a legend.
Yeah.
This is again hard to compare, but in many ways very similar. Is, you know, they do this with the police and the politics and the police department, the commissioner and the mayor and the government agencies with the civil rights thing. He just does such a great job of exploring the city down to its DNA,
right,
and showing you the ugly side of this city. And this could have been made anywhere. I mean, it could have been made in any big city. The same thing with The Wire. But like you said, I mean, Baltimore is known for being a bad town. You know what I mean? And I think that in a lot of ways, it's a microcosm of a lot of the things that have happened over the course of the last 20 years in this country. And some of the performances were fine, but Bernthal, I never really liked him in anything that I've seen him in. I haven't seen him in a lot. Walking Dead, maybe like one or two.
He's in like some Scorsese movies, and yeah,
he carried the load in this show, and I was like,
yep.
And Jamie Hector, who played Detective Sean Sutter, was kind of the emotional piece, but like Jon Bernthal carried the load on this show. And I have myself a very newfound respect for him as an actor. I do think that this is probably one of those roles that he fits in, because he did like The Punisher, and he was kind of like this in Walking Dead and stuff like that. But
yeah,
he plays, I think he's got a little bit of the same thing as Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch plays a good prick. I think maybe that Jon Bernthal plays just kind of like a good asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, we've been talking off air and stuff like that, and about, you know, the show and police corruption and things like that. And obviously we kind of ended the show last week with it, but yeah, I mean, this is, I think that this show is probably a good example of how fucked up things can get when they, like you said, start at the top and trickle the whole way down to the bottom. These guys were collecting overtime when they were in vacation in the Dominican.
Yep.
Like that was the thing, is as bad as like the stealing of the money and stealing the drugs and everything. I think that that's the thing that they really got the most pinched on, was the overtime fraud.
I think, well, it's like, it's because like it's so blatant.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, they felt like they were bulletproof.
They own it, like literally say
They
we own
own
the
the
city. I mean,
city,
like
yeah.
this isn't, you know, and that can be cheesy in some ways when you like say the title in your, but it actually was like perfect for this when he says that, like, we own this, like we are invincible. And for a long period of time, they actually were. That's like the thing. It's like this wasn't a microcosm of like 6 months.
No, this was like over a decade.
Over a decade of them doing this and getting away with it until finally like people came forward. And yeah, it's just, yeah, like you said, it's a microcosm maybe of the world, you know, at large, the United States, you know, definitely. But police corruption is not new, and then city corruption is not new either. It's just that Baltimore is one of those examples that really is, I hate to say it, but it's easy to put together in a way because it's so corrupt. It's been so bad for so many years. And like the other thing about Baltimore is that people from Baltimore love Baltimore.
Yeah.
And that's like the other thing. Like there's few cities in this country of that size where like the love is actually that strong. It just isn't. You don't see that in cities like that kind of strong will where like, yeah, this city's corrupt, but I still will, you know, I'll live and die through, you know, Baltimore. And that's what shines through the show. Everybody's wearing an Orioles shirt.
Yep.
Everyone's wearing a Ravens shirt, and it's like good and bad. That's just how this works. And that, to me, I think I really like that too, where it's like, even though the good and the bad are way different and there's a direct line, we all still love this city. It's just a different way.
Like I said, and that's what, and with this show and The Wire is they get into just the absolute, especially with The Wire, because it goes through all the different facets of the city. With the second season's weak, I'm not going to sit here and deny that the second season's a slog, but if you can get through it to the third, fourth, and fifth seasons, because I think the third season is every bit as good as the first one. The first one is widely considered the best, but
first one's awesome.
They're in just the absolute nerve endings of the city. I mean, it's just, they're so to the roots of it. It's so impressive how authentic they make it feel. And I know one of the people who commented when we did we did the trailer reaction for this, and one of the people commented that a lot of this was filmed where they lived. And so I found that to be very interesting to see. And I hope that person checks out the review and comments know, what they thought of the series at large. But yeah, I mean, for a 6-episode limited series, I felt like this was very powerful. And you know, it like I said, it whet my appetite for The Wire, but I really want to see something like that on that scale again.
It'll have to be David's time.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So what would you give this out of 10 for the season?
I say 8.0. Like,
yeah, I think it's probably an 8.5 for me. So probably average out to 8.25. But yeah, if you have HBO, I mean, it's a quick watch. I mean, episodes move.
Every episode's around an hour, but once you start watching it, you're like, oh, I'll just watch this all.
I watched the first 4 episodes in like a day, which is really
I watched
hard
the first 2,
kids.
and then I literally watched the first 4 between yesterday and today.
Yeah,
the last 4. Yeah, so really.
So, let's see here. If you like that type of content, if you like our content, give us a like, subscribe, ring the bell. Over on our YouTube, where this will appear as a video, or you're already watching it as a video, as well as Obi-Wan. You can check us out on social media, facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram @BXG Podcast, @GTFills, @Y2B, Twitter @BXG Podcast, @GTFilson, @Y2B, Discord. Come on and hang out with us, talk about the shows that you like, things like that. And then, like we said already, on our YouTube, which is BXG Podcast. Take care. I mean, I thought this was a fun episode.
Just real quick, media recommendation.
Sorry. Yeah, media recommendations.
Not that this is like anything, but Stranger Things season 4 is really good. We finished this first part of it, and it doesn't come out till July. I saw some bad reviews of it. I will say I 100% disagree on the matter. This season's way creepier and way darker, but still a lot of fun. So I will just that's really my only real beside what we talked about. Yeah. My recommendation.
Sure. Yeah. I felt like that was a fun episode.
Yeah, really good episode.
All right. Take care, friends.